Hey guys, I want to make a video today about the Remington Mark X Pro trigger. It comes standard on most Remingtons, Remington bolt actions. This is a Remington Micro 7 made by AAC. It's a chambered in 300 blackouts, a little shorty 16-inch rifle, but it has the same Mark X Pro trigger that most Remingtons are coming with now. And they've changed a little bit on how you adjust them. They have a little screw on the bottom that if you have this trigger, you've probably already seen it. I'll make sure it's clear here real quick. So it's right here. There's a little screw that you can let out, screw back in, and that's supposed to adjust the weight, the trigger pull. For me, I've had two of these. One, or my friend has one, and I have one. The first one, his came perfect. It was a nice three-pound pull, very crisp. This, just using with the way that I felt behind it, felt really heavy. I adjusted it all the way out and didn't get any difference. It was adjusting with this wheel or trigger pull gauge at around 6 pounds, no matter how much I adjusted this screw. Now, if I adjusted it in, it would make it more, almost 7 or 8 pounds, which for me is unacceptable for a hunting rifle or for any type of bolt action rifle. Now, what you adjust it down to is going to be your personal preference. On my match rifle, I'm at about 1.5 pounds. A lot of people like it really heavy, or a lot heavier than that. On this rifle, which I'm mainly going to use for hunting and plinking, I would at least want it to be 2.5 to 3 pounds, and I was able to get it down to 2.5 to 3 pounds, but not with the standard screw that they give you for the weight adjustment. Now, I want to say here, if you go any further with these adjustments, you need to make sure that the gun is safe before you take it out in the field. Remington's changed a lot since that video came out that basically keeps you from over adjusting things, or really adjusting anything. They give you this little bit of flexibility, which in my opinion is almost nothing. So there's going to be some goop on these screws that you have to pick off, and that's basically just saying if something does happen, this trigger doesn't perform the way that you want it to, then they now know that you went beyond what they have, beyond their means, beyond what they had set the trigger up for. So you want to take that into account when you adjust this trigger. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, then don't do it. I usually just replace the triggers, but with this, it's not a super important. It's more fun, and I like to hunt with it, but I don't need, or didn't feel like that I needed to put $160, $250 trigger in there. So I'm just going to try and get this taken apart real quick, and then we'll come back. I'm just going to, really what you'll need is just a set of like an Allen key, Allen wrench, and then I always use my Borka tool to torque everything back down for your Allen screws, or for your action screws. So I'm going to take this apart real quick, and we'll come back with it open, and I'll show you the screw that I adjusted to get my weight. Okay, so now I have the barreled action out of the stock. Looks like I'd actually already misplaced this little screw. I'm going to put another one back in there, but it doesn't seem, if it's out, it even makes a difference. Most of the time I've seen people adjust them, it's been gone. So you're going to have two screws here. You have one here that has a little bit of goop on it, and then this one. Now this has some type of sealant all inside where the Allen head's going to go. And it looks like it has goop around the end. What it is, I put some Gibbs or something similar to WD-40 and just put some around the outer edges and let it sit for 5 minutes, and then I just took this knife, or you can just take like a little dental pick, and I dug out the goop from in there. So now I've basically voided any type of warranty on this trigger. You can usually get these triggers online for about $50 each if you mess one up. So after I let it sit for about 5 minutes and I dug that stuff out, I just grabbed a small Allen wrench, and I turned it. Now you want to count your turns. I think I came out 3 turns, and that got my trigger weight down to 3 pounds. 2.5 pounds actually. I'll measure it now. So you make sure it's clear. Probably want to measure it right side up. So there it is, just right under 3 pounds. Right side up, I had it probably did it 10 times and it got right at 2.5 pounds. It breaks really clean. It's not a bad trigger. It's just really heavy from the factory. And some of them just come in perfect and some of them don't. So like I said, this is the screw here. And I said keep track of how many times you turn it out and then turn it back in. Then you also want to test it. Put it back in the action. Take it by the barrel, hit it on the butt, in and off of safety. Cycle the bolt really fast. Anything that you would do in the field. And that way you'll know that the trigger's safe. If you don't feel like it is, then go back to how it was before and screw everything back in, and you can take it to a gunsmith. I'm sure a gunsmith could do this for you as well. But for me, just this little screw right here got me from about 5.5 pounds to 2.5, just right under 3 pounds. So I'm going to put it back together, and then we'll come back and we'll test it again. Okay, so I got the rifle put back together, back in the stock. Trigger's tuned down. So I got it down to about 2.5, 3 pounds. And so one thing I did is I took the rifle and I cycled it a lot, really hard. See, it's not you can't see from there, but it's not dropping. And then I pounded on the ground a couple of times, just made sure that everything was functioning. Then you can try the trigger pull. This has a really loud pin. I can hear it when I have a silencer coat Osprey on here, and sometimes when you shoot, you can hear that pin fall. It's so loud. So we'll try and measure it just one more time here. If you can see that, that's right there at 2.5 pounds. So that's 10 times better. I basically cut the weight in half, and it seems to be safe. Always make sure that you feel that it's 100% reliable and 100% safe before you take it out there. If you don't feel comfortable taking the rifle apart, if you don't feel comfortable adjusting the trigger, just don't try and wing it. This was actually my first time to adjust one of these. I've adjusted my Timneys and my Jewels in the past. They come with pretty straightforward procedures. But this is the first time that I stepped outside of the manufacturer's recommendations, and it was only after I'd heard from a couple of people that had no issues with it doing it reliably. So make sure that you do that. You don't want to have an accident. And other than that, you should be fine. Like I said, this is great. I'm really excited about going hunting with this now. I felt like with that heavy of a trigger pull, coming from a 1.5 pound trigger on my match rifle, which is what I primarily shoot, and then getting up and trying to shoot this, I felt like I was really straining. I felt like I was really pulling, and that could pull a shot. That could be a hit or miss on game or target or whatever it is that you're shooting at. So be safe, get out there. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you have anything else that you want me to do a video on, if I have the knowledge of it, or if I can, I'll definitely do it. And if you can, please subscribe and like this video.